this leads me to Fox, okay? Because the thing that CNN needs and doesn't have is they need a programming genius. They need somebody who actually understands what will make, who's our core audience and what will make them tune in. Fox News is going through something similar. They really are. And that leads me to Beth Ailes. In an extraordinary tweet, the widow of Roger Ailes, last night tweeted out the following: "Happy heavenly birthday, Roger Ailes. It took you 20 years to build Fox News into the powerhouse that it was, and only 6 years for the Murdochs to wreak havoc. Rupert thought he could do your job. What a joke. He has the checkbook, but could never come close to your genius. Rest in peace." Whoa. Whoa. I haven't heard her say anything at all since Roger was ousted from Fox. And then she weighs in with that. And I got to hand it again to Confider over Daily Beast and Lachlan Cartwright, who did what journalists are supposed to do.
Yeah.
He saw the tweet, picked up his phone, and he cold called her and got her talking. I mean, literally, I haven't seen this person do an interview in the entire time since Roger was ousted, never mind died. And this is what he reports. Confider saw that tweet, immediately cold called Elizabeth, and then spent half an hour absolutely railing against the Murdoch family and their handling of a post-Ailes Fox News. Quote, "Roger never had his hand off the wheel when it came to Fox." I agree, Megyn Kelly speaking there. Contrasting it with the Murdochs, who she said, quote, "weren't born here and don't have the same pedigree." Roger he was raised in Ohio, in Youngstown, Ohio, where he dug ditches for a living. He understood America, middle America. He understood the coastal elites. He knew exactly who the audience was and what the need was for Fox News to be born in the first place. And he did have his hands on the steering wheel 10 and 2 the entire time. Mostly because this thing pulls to the left, as he used to say about news, but also because it can pull too far to the right. And Roger knew when to course correct when that happened too. She goes on to say about Lachlan Murdoch, "I was told he's a spear fisherman. I don't know if he spends time in the office." This is one of the criticisms of him, that when he came in and took over, what he really wanted to do was run the movie studios, not be stuck at 1211 6th Avenue running, the cable operation, which isn't as sexy as the Hollywood stars. Recalled that Roger used to refer to brothers James and Lachlan as Tweedledum and Tweedledummer, respectively. I can also confirm that, having heard it many times from Roger Ailes. But she saved most of her ire for the patriarch, Rupert, whom she described as a jealous man who fired her husband because Roger eclipsed Rupert on the world stage. Now I've got some thoughts on that too. She likened Tucker Carlson's firing to her late husband's ouster, claiming the Murdochs figured out how to chop off his head when he became too big. This is fascinating. She knew Roger better than anyone, and I have to say she's got some very valid points in there, guys, about what she's essentially saying is it took 6 years for Fox News to collapse in its core mission from the time Roger was ousted, that no one other than Roger has been able to do it, and that the Murdochs don't have the vision or the desire or the capability to make it happen. What do you think?
It's been amazing. However, I think that's a managerial. It's accurate or plausible from a managerial standpoint. We've heard that about the Murdoch kids forever. There's always been a succession battle. And Roger Ailes, for those, and I never met him. I worked for him as a Kmele, in theory, but he was the genius. The people from the outside who are always like, "Oh God, Murdoch over at Fox News." As long as Roger Ailes was alive, that wasn't the issue that you really had. The issue was Roger Ailes. He ran the place. It was his vision. It was his idea. Fox has kept most of its audience until very recently. That's the area in which her complaint or her analysis, I think, needs to be complicated. That and also she said that Eric Bolling was part of the people who got fired because he was too big. I don't think that was the problem with Eric Bolling.
No, with respect to Eric, no.
Was it too big? Is that what they're complaining?
No, don't. I told you.
Come on. Let me do it. Go ahead.
Deep cut.
No, Eric. I love Eric.
But managerially, I think that there's absolutely something to that. You can tell from outside the building, and I have no intel on the inside, but that it lacks the same kind of cohesive managerial structure. You knew Roger Ailes was in charge. You worked at his behest, and his vision was out there every single day in one way or the other. I'm not sure what that vision is now, and I think that people do become kind of too big or too not controllable controllable by the Murdochs because they don't have their hands on the system the same way. Suzanne Scott is not doesn't command the same kind of respect within the building. I don't think. I would guess that Roger Ailes did. I'm being nice. So I think it's fascinating that she's talking and that she's dishing, and it points to, I think, the most plausible theory still to me so far of Tucker Carlson's firing was that he'd built a center of independence from the managerial team within, and they couldn't have that. That plus all the lawsuits were probably starting to get a little bit difficult around the edges. But I think it seems like that attitude from the Murdochs is one that they're going to continue to revisit. As soon as someone becomes sort of problematic, they become bigger than Fox in their point of view, then they can get rid of them. And at some point, and that point might be now with Carlson's audience in that hour, they will start to finally lose audience, because up till now, they've still managed to kind of win their basic business.
Look, there's something there's no answer to this, obviously, of what would Roger Ailes have done, but Roger Ailes, for all of his many faults, was a political genius at television, a political television genius, a very specific thing. If you go back and read Joe McGinnis's book from 1968, The Selling of the President, I mean, who is the key player in that, who is trying to kind of make Nixon a kind of TV guy? In watching Roger Ailes as a young man in that book, you're like, man, this guy is really something. He's kind of a magician. And he did that at Fox for a very long time. He saw a market opportunity. There was a big glaring hole in the market, and he filled it. And the one thing, the what if, though, is, Roger Ailes dies in 2017. How do you handle the Trump phenomenon as a news organization that leans right? Because this is the complete blowing up of the traditional Republican Party coalition. And, Roger, as you said, Megyn, was somebody who kept a check on going too far to the right. And it fires Glenn Beck when he's the highest rated guy on the network, because he's scribbling on chalkboards and looking a bit crazy, to be honest. And I think Roger acknowledged that and said, no more of this. So I really wonder, I just to say that the current, you're not a huge fan of Suzanne Scott. And I think last time on the show, you told me, which I didn't know, that she used to run hair and makeup, which I think is pretty interesting. Yeah. But I don't think that she's doing a great job over there. But at the same time, I'm just to be nice to everyone in this, is that it is a very, very tough time to take over when you look at Republican politics and how much they've changed in the kind of populist, let's say revivification of the Republican Party as this populist thing. How to do that on television is pretty tough. It was a lot easier when it was kind of Bush Republicans versus sort of ordinary Democrats. Now you have these AOC populist end, you have the Trump populist end, and it confuses things. So, I mean,
he would have known how to do it. She is right about instinct.
I suspect he probably
She's right
would have.
that Rupert doesn't have the instinct for what to do right now with this audience. And Roger absolutely would have. He would have understood. I worked with him. Let me tell you something right now. Suzanne Scott and Bill Shine used to run over to me because I met with Roger all the time. And they'd say, what did he say? What did he say about this? What did he say about that? He didn't share anything with them. She has absolutely no tutelage to call back on because he didn't mentor her. He didn't mentor any of his executives. He wanted to keep them unsteady. Yeah. He had zero desire to share his leadership vision with any of them. I guarantee you, I know more about it than she does. I guarantee you. He would have understood that he would have to fold in Trump's views to the core programming in a way that was defensive of them while trying to hold on to their National Review flank. He had already come to understand that even though he was against Trump's populism, he understood the channel's too one-dimensional in its coverage of Republican politics, and we're going to lose our Ohio ditch-digging flank in favor of the National Reviewers if we don't do something about what's on our air right now. And that's when he started to bring in more contributors who were pro-Trump and saying what Trump was saying. And, a lot of people internally were like, what are you doing? Why are we doing that? He's like, out of respect for the audience. He understood it before anybody else did. And he would have navigated the Trump presidency perfectly. I really have no doubt of that. Roger's problems were never that he didn't get the audience, that he didn't have a genius ability to program, both when it came to content and selecting talent. What ultimately brought him down was a combination of what she said and a real problem with women. And I've thought about this a lot, and I've talked to Janice Dean about it a lot, and she was one of the women who came forward and worked with me to make sure women understood that we were talking and that it was safe to talk. I think we both believe that while there were some 24 women who came forward with complaints about Ailes, some that were deeply disturbing. All right, let me just reassure the audience of that. This wasn't like a passing remark like he may have made to Gretchen Carlson. Some people were really harassed in a way that was dark, okay, and abused. So that was a real problem. But I do think she's right that it was used. It was used to get rid of him by a family, I mean, in particular, the sons who wanted him gone. I don't think Rupert wanted Roger gone, though. I don't think it was Rupert. I think it was the sons who were ready for him to move on. And Gretchen filed that lawsuit, and then the rest of us came forward and they saw an opportunity. And that was the end of Roger. And you know, there's some sort of, I don't know, it makes me feel sad that I and maybe others were used in that way, but I also can't say I regret it because there's no way he could have stayed in that office. There's no way a man doing that many bad things to that many young women who just are trying to make it in journalism should have remained in power. No way. That part is omitted from her tweet. Doctors say you should eat 6 cups of fruits and veggies a day. I don't have the time or desire to eat 6 cups of fruits and veggies. I don't know about you. But according to a massive study, people who eat healthy live longer, have less heart disease, less diabetes, and less cancer. That is why I want to tell you about Field of Greens. Unlike other fruit and vegetable supplements, each specific fruit and vegetable in Field of Greens was medically selected to support specific functions like heart health, liver, kidney health, immune system, and metabolism. It can help you stay healthy. Field of Greens works fast, and you will feel healthier, have more energy, your skin and hair will look healthier, and it can help you lose weight. But the biggest benefit is the better health promise. Take Field of Greens, and at your next doctor visit, if your doctor doesn't say something like, whatever you're doing, it's working, keep it up, you can return it for a full refund. And to help get you started, I got you 15% off your first order. Plus, get another 10% off when you subscribe for recurring orders. Visit fieldofgreens.com and use promo code MK. That's fieldofgreens.com, promo code MK. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.